Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatal, back with you for another episode of the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge Diaries / Horse Players Happy Hour. Horse Players Happy Hour, the best way to qualify for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. We play these games every Thursday on horseplayers.com, and you can follow along with our live stream as well on Breeders' Cup social media, YouTube channel, as well as the In the Money Media YouTube channel and social media. Very happy to welcome in right away our first guest for this week's BCBC Diaries. He just punched his ticket last weekend over at horseplayers.com. He's Craig Seedler. Craig, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Peter. Thanks.
Appreciate the fact that you were reticent to do the show thinking, hey, this is just a qualification. I've got bigger goals in mind. Love that idea, but wanted to bring you in here to share your experience from last weekend. You qualified, I believe, on horseplayers.com. Any particular stories to come out of that tournament? Any key horses in particular that enabled you to punch your ticket to this year's BCBC?
Just one. Once we made it to the low ratio, about the middle of the card, I was looking for some prices at a spot where I thought other people were going to play some favorites. And I remembered a horse from when we were trying to qualify for the NHC in Texas. And the horse ran second there, had a bad race at Parks, and I was willing to forgive it. And at 13-1, that kind of sealed the deal.
A pleasing price for sure to get the job done and get that ticket punch. You said we. Do you play with a partner in these BCBC qualifying events?
Not exactly. Those of you guys who see me play with Michelle Mount, she's been my girlfriend for many years. We don't play together, and I think it'd be hard to say that we do watching our picks. But she was sitting there right next to me, keeping an eye on things.
I love that. What is your history in the BCBC to this point? Is it an event you've played in before?
It's a sad history because I think I've only been in once. Got there, wanted to put it all in at the end of day one, and my horse was a DNF. So I think that was it.
What is the appeal to you of the BCBC? What makes it something that you want to put on your contest dance card year after year?
Well, I'm always trying to make a score, and they're probably few and far between. But anyone that knows me, I'm willing to go home broke every single day I'm at the track. I extinguished my bankroll today at Delaware Park, where I'm at right now. And this is kind of like the ultimate score. So
yeah, to win the opportunity to make, $500,000 plus, it's easy to see why that would be appealing. How long have you been a racing fan? How did you get into it?
Probably you wouldn't have me in the game if it wasn't for Arlington Park. So it's just kind of a sad story. I used to go with my dad. So from Chicago, we lived 10 minutes away. And anytime we weren't playing baseball or golf, we were at the track. And it kind of just took off from there, met different people, moved to Las Vegas, and have been spending a lot of time in California at the races. And now it's like something I like to do as much as I possibly can.
I love the sound of that. How about a Breeders' Cup memory from you? Is there a particular Breeders' Cup race from over the years that you have a particular fondness of, whether it was the one that was run at Arlington Park or one of the others?
I was there. I've got a friend, he's now passed away, that got us front row seats right on the wire. And that we won't forget. And I didn't know what credentials were at the time. So when they kept asking us for credentials, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I think I was 12 or maybe 14. I don't know. Maybe I should have known. But last year was a very good Breeders' Cup year. I think I hit a pick 5 on both days. And I used some of that money to buy a horse that's on the California circuit, half with my trainer, Paul Gary Shamrockin. So, and she's won 2 races already this year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Paul does a great job out there under the radar in California. Another friend of mine, Frank Scatoni, has had horses with him and had very positive experience. But what if I held your feet to the fire for one Breeders' Cup race to reflect back on? What would that be?
Oh, I couldn't.
Well, in that case, I'll give one for you since we're talking about Arlington Park. We're going to dig back in the vault. See, I want an excuse to roll some old Breeders' Cup tape on this. How about now? It's a race that lives in infamy in a sense because of long since corrected vulnerability in the tote system. But how about Volponi winning the Breeders' Cup Classic back? You remember that race?
Yeah, but you could never have the pick six that day. I wasn't a big pick six player, but it was absolutely impossible to have. And I mean, was it Azeri that was there in the first leg of that? And it was like, okay, you could have a shot. And then it was just impossible after that. But that's 20 years ago. So, I mean,
I remember seeing there was one person in daily racing form in the grid picks. They had 20 handicappers, etc., giving picks that day. There was one person that did have Volponi. That was Karen Johnson, PG's daughter, was able to be a homer enough and see the case and come up with Volponi as the winner of that race. It was extremely exciting, and Godspeed to everybody who came up with that one legitimately. Oh, I see. Producer Mike here has it on the. I was meaning more for the BCBC Diary replay, Mike, but we appreciate you putting this in. This horse just coming out of nowhere and getting the job done back in the 2002 Breeders' Cup Classic. Craig, we appreciate you. We'll have you back for a much longer visit when you get that score. But I appreciate you letting me twist your arm to come on the show today, and we wish you Godspeed in all your endeavors.
Thank you for acknowledging that, and when I score, I will be back.
We love to hear it. Craig Seedler will be looking for your name on horseplayers.com and hope that you'll get involved in our Horse Player Happy Hour games as well. Next up on the show, we're going to bring in a guest who is very sympathetic to what Craig was saying about Arlington Park. It's a place where he had many, many memorable afternoons. We won't ask him to go too deep down that rabbit hole, however, but we do welcome back one of our regulars this season on BCBC Diaries, on Horse Players Happy Hour. He is the author of A Better Way of Thinking. Learn more at abetterwayofthinking.com. Matt Miller. Matt, how are things?
I've got the podcast and webcast outfit ready. I'm good to go. Things are great. Thank you. Happy 4th.
So the first thing we're going to talk about, and the key thing for the BCBC Diary show, is to ask you about your experience last week at the unique and fun Hawthorne Invitational. At the end of the day, it was Tony Joe who got the win and won a Breeders' Cup betting challenge seat. Very curious to get your impressions of the event and a little bit of a recap, if you will.
Sure. So this isn't, it's funny, this isn't a plug. This is completely from the heart and sincere. I should probably disclose that Hawthorne was remarkably cool and supportive, bought a whole bunch of the book for people in the contest. So it's yet another reason people are a fan of that place. They try so hard to make people happy. So they had their two $500 contests going on for the 2 days. Those are very much a wide open format, no entry fee, total free for all. You can bet just about anything you want. Betting in those tends to be somewhat conservative, although given that they had such a group of killers out there on Sunday, the total ended up being much higher. I think it was Dennis Montoro sitting right next to me that took that one down. But otherwise, the Invitational, I believe it's approximately 60 people. It is by invitation. I do think if some people say no, they have others that they can readily go to. There are plenty of people that have won big events and things like that. But you look around the room and look, I mean, everyone's allowed to have their own feelings and views about themselves. I haven't been doing this long enough to feel quite like I fully belong. And so there's still very much a feeling of looking around thinking how cool it is to see all of these legends around there. And okay, the fact that I had a book to talk about made it kind of fun and kind of amazing that some of them were reading it and asked for signatures or whatever. The contest itself is really a tale of two contests. I don't want it in any way to sound like a complaint. It would be very hard for just about anyone to walk out of that experience unhappy. But I would say that the contest it's a tough puzzle to solve. The first half essentially required it holds constant the amount of your bet. They also limit the types of bets so that you can't go to daily doubles, pick threes further out. You can do exactas and trifectas and win bets. So they're limiting some volatility. It has somewhat of an NHC type feel, actually. There's 4 mandatory races. There's 4 optional races. You can pick from a variety of tracks. So again, this harkens back to NHC kind of rules, except it's real cash. You're betting real money on real bets. The room, I think everyone had a bunch of different opinions around what we were trying to do as we got to the last race. We were forced to hold on to $500 for that last race, no matter what. That is very unusual for cash tournaments. There's a lot of people like me that blow it way before then. And so to be forced to stay in it, and as you looked at what it took to win this thing, you very much were still alive with $500, but obviously having more would be super helpful. So as you look at the first half of the contest and try and solve that, I said to a couple people there, I would love to have just seen this thing for about 10 years. I'd love to see how much money the winner typically has going into that last race, what they do with it. This isn't a criticism of my fellow competitors. They do tend to fall shy of my level of aggression. It's funny that I got asked on the webcast at the time. They grabbed, I think it was me and Chris Larmy, and said, okay, pretend you're in first. It's the last race. What do? I told people to brace themselves. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but every single dollar that the leader had, I would have put on my top horse, which came in third. But I was sure to say that's also a $10,000 side bet on the favorite, which did win at 5-2. And so it would have been a nice play. That amount, I would have been thrilled to win on the side as much as I wanted. It was cool as hell. They had a title belt. I mean, Tony Joe took pictures of it. It was for people that like to collect things to remind them of good times. It was, yes, they had a more traditional trophy, which was cool, but the belt was nice too. You had everyone playing in that first tranche of the contest, and then next thing you know, everyone's firing like crazy. The result was somewhat formful, so this wasn't like last year when Eddie Olczyk was the only single person in a loud room to still be cheering as they approached the wire. It was the strangest weeding out process audibly I think I've ever heard, that everyone's excited, and then at the end, one guy is still cheering. It was amazing. This year there were actually a lot of cheers, and a lot of, my buddy Brad Anderson, I think, finished in 7th. Everyone kind of taking their shots and trying to figure out what would win. It's not a traditional contest, so telling you that $10,000 and something took it off of a $2,500 bankroll would make this seem wildly different than it was. I don't even know how to describe the total other than to say, I think Tony came into that final race with more than the minimum. And I think he was targeting right around $10,000 with what he had around there. And he made a nice hit. And, there were a bunch of people that make nice hits, but his was the strongest. It was the most efficient. And I look, as much as I'd love to win, he's a great friend and he's a terrific champion.
It was definitely a deserved victory. Tony's been in and around these contests. He's had his wins over the year. We were pleased to have him when we did our World Horse Player Tour at the final table, and great to see him taking it all down at Hawthorne last weekend, getting that Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seat. Matt, we're going to be hearing much more from you, but for now, we'll leave this recap of the Hawthorne contest right here, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, thanks.
Let's actually pop up the end of this 7th race at Belmont, because we can still see what's going on here. And then we'll come back and we'll see how this affects what's going on in HorsePlayers Happy Hour. We're going to have, we'll bring Matt back for a bit. We're going to have JK in there. But yeah, go ahead and throw on the call, producer Mike, if you don't mind.
Here
And
by
we'll
a
watch
length and a
it
half
from
is
here.
trying to win it right now. Here's Catch a Wave right to the outside, and Catch a Wave is on the move, is now within a half length of the leader. Battling on his Indian Quest, also trying to run on Be Like Clint. Going Concern has got to pick it up from there and hold the Salsa. Tough to handle, but does have some momentum. The leader is Breeze, and Catch a Wave, the favorite, is trying to run by the stubborn
Breeze
long shot.
and Catch a Wave.
Clint is taken third. Here's
gotta
Catch a
love
Wave
it.
to the outside. Battling on is Breeze, still towards the inside,
Wrong
approaching
shot,
that final
didn't want to
16.
quit, but he
Catch a
can't
Wave
hang on,
and
can he?
Breeze. It's Catch a Wave in front. Breeze is right there. Catch a Wave wins it. Catch a Wave wins it over Breeze and Came. Be Like Clint and Hold the Salsa. Final running time, 2 minutes, 16.34. Catch a Wave.
Almost a Saints fan hunch play. Drew Brees. Mike Maloney has great stories about Drew Brees and accidentally invading his suite at Del Mar. Jonathan Kinchin is in the building, but where the hell is he in reality?
I'm in Montauk, and I've got we should maybe do some sort of a giveaway here. I got all the Salivos here, so if you need a reservation, this is the best. This is the best time. In the comments, you just got to let me know.
This is between you and your
I'll probably tell you.
I never would have volunteered that, but get active in the comments. You look great. You sound great. I think we're going to be able to do this other project we have to do, but I think we should let's bring in a third guest. I think we need a secret weapon, JK, to properly talk about the Belmont Oaks and Derby that we want to do. She is in my time zone right now, and I'm going to send her a link, and let's see if she can join. I'll ask her if she needs email.
Oh, is it who I think? Is it who I think it is?
I'm sure. I mean, come on. If it's a she and she's in England and she's going to be joining us, I mean, that's how it's going to be. Now, you're going to need, warning to you, JK, because you're recording locally and uploading, you're going to need, based on the graininess of your video, about 5 hours to upload this video afterwards. So do not close StreamYard. But honestly, I'm so glad to have you. It was your birthday. Tell us a little bit about these birthday festivities.
Yeah, so this is my first trip to Montauk. It was my birthday on Monday, and then it was my lovely mother-in-law's birthday yesterday, and we've just been attacking it. I think that there's a chance that you'll see on the news that there's an oyster clam shortage, and we're responsible for that. There's no doubt about it. And it's been fun. I like it here. I've never been here before. It's a nice spot.
It is good. Montauk is one of, I grew up on Long Island and remember going out there as a kid. I can remember being wiped out by a wave. It's one of those funny childhood memories. I was probably, I'm like less than 5 and being on the beach there and just sort of wading into the tide and a wave that, in reality was probably like a 4-foot wave, which was enough to knock me into the middle of next week. But in my memory, it was 12 feet high, just absolutely taking me down. But the other thing I love about Montauk, and I think I said this to you on the show last week, Long Island, I'm not going to say it's a food desert because that would be hyperbole, but for a place with as much money as out there, the food is typically pretty mediocre. Montauk actually has some pretty good food. So I hope you've been enjoying that.
It's so funny that you said that. Like, I'm obviously with some people that know a little bit about food, and we've run into that a little bit too. We did go to Duryea's the other night. That was pretty outstanding. And so we've, but it's one of those places where it's such a cool place. Sometimes they can kind of come up a little short because they don't have to.
Right.
Like they're going to be full no matter what. You know what I mean?
Fair. That's fair. But
it's
lovely.
No, I enjoy it. It's cool. It's a cool
lovely
spot.
when places don't take advantage of that. How about this? 5 wins for Flavien Prat today at Belmont at the Big A, doing his best Frankie Dettori impression over there. Maybe getting hot in the right time for Saratoga. You think he's he might have a sneaky chance to have a, and there she is. You think he might have a sneaky chance to have a giant Saratoga meet, JK?
Oh, Flavien Prat, of course, yeah, he's definitely gonna have a huge meet. But whose meet might be huge? You heard it here first. There might be someone jumping off of a golf cart opening week, if you know what I'm talking about.
Are you teasing a Frankie Dettori on Cart Talk? Is that what you're teasing here, JK?
I am. I absolutely am. But I'm so Vanessa. I'm on the beach with your favorite people in the world. All 5 of them.
What? Oh, okay.
Vanessa,
Nancy and Big Ron.
I got
Nancy
little Ronnie, little Joey, little Nance, little Ron. They're all here. You'll see them before it's all said and done.
All right, I'm going to do a reset, and we're going to record some video for I guess we'll do Derby. Should we just do the Oaks for the preview video, JK, just because we can talk about the Derby later? It's not as relevant, or should we do both? I worry we'll leave Vanessa.
Let's just do both. But
okay,
let's do both. But let's speed round them also, Pete. I think for the upload issue, the shorter the better, probably, right? It's the smaller the file. And honestly, one of them is the Oaks. I'm sorry, the Derby is a short field anyway, so I don't think we need to talk about it.
We can roll through. I didn't prep you at all on the Derby, Vanessa. That's why I feel bad about talking about it at all. But maybe JK, the way we're recording this, you don't even have to be part of that discussion necessarily if you don't want. But I did want to get your opinions on these shippers we're going to see for the Belmont Oaks. So just follow my lead. And then the big thing is to both of you, when we get done with this preview, when your bid is done, just leave. You can remove yourself from the video. You can turn off your mic and your camera, but leave it open for a minute so I can upload your video to the cloud and it will look in top form. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah. So
Excellent.
I just stay quiet until we get on to Oaks chat. Is that the?
I think so, because you didn't look at the. You didn't look at the Derby one, did you?
No, I mean it's just that Appleby horse, right?
Exactly. Legend of Time. He's
that's
here. Let's let you know what we're gonna let Vanessa off the hook. We're gonna go. We're gonna do the Oaks for the video, JK, and we're just gonna leave the Derby alone. It's just gonna be easier because then she can jump and we'll be in good shape. All right. He gives the thumbs up. We're good to go. Hello and welcome to a special presentation from In the Money Media. This is our look at the Grade 1 Belmont Oaks this weekend. And because we have some foreign participation, we're not just being PTF and JK here. We're going to bring in the secret weapon on the In the Money Media team, especially when we talk about anything international. She comes to us from her homestead here in England, where I am as well. She is Vanessa Ryle. Vanessa, what's going on?
Well, I'm in good form, but I thought I was in good form in my cozy little country cottage in England. And then I look at JK and I'm just like, no, I'm unable for it. It's too much and it's too cute and it's too much.
He's got to keep that sun. He doesn't want to get the TV star doesn't want to get washed out over there. Explain to the viewers what is going on, Jonathan, who don't know what already.
This has nothing to do with the sun. This is more of a wet hair situation. I'm going to let everyone in behind the scenes a little bit here. It's just a wet hair thing. So I had no choice but to go here with it. You know what I mean? That's all.
I like it.
Rigatoni just showed up, so it's going to be really loud here for a couple of seconds.
No, we love Rigatoni. If there aren't pet and or child interruptions, it's not a production of In the Money Media. Let's talk about the Belmont Oaks. Vanessa, this is why we've brought you here. I'll tell you what, we have a really interesting domestic contender in here in She Feels Pretty. Shortly, you remember her huge run at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. I would argue she was quite possibly the best that day. Parked wide the whole time, just going down half a length. That's a race that's produced really good form, most recently with the huge run from Porta Fortuna at Royal Ascot. She sets a pretty nice level of form for this race, most recently seen at the Hilltop on Preakness weekend, winning and being imperious in victory that day. So I'm pretty excited about her. I don't think any of the domestic fillies are going to beat her. But what about this international contingent, Vanessa? How good are they?
Okay, well, I think we can keep it pretty simple then. If you think nothing on your home soil is going to beat her, I don't think it's going to go the way of either of the three of the European runners. I don't like any of them. I'm just putting it out there. Do you want me to run through them? I mean, I started with a bold statement here, but basically
that is a very bold statement. Let's talk. I mean, who should we begin with? Maybe
start with Appleby's horse. Let's start with Appleby's horse. Cinderella's Dream in here. Very interesting. Obviously, every time Charlie Appleby has a runner over there, we all sit up and take note. You know the drill by now. This horse was 7th in the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket. That's when you last saw her. She was only beaten 4 lengths, though. That form has stood up, obviously, with Porta Fortuna since coming out and winning the Coronation. Form-wise, fine. But you watch that race back, not much about it suggests that stepping up from the mile to the 10 furlongs is what she wants. She travels really sweetly into the race. She's actually one of the last off the bridle in a guineas into the dip. Now, maybe she just didn't cope with the touch, like a little bit of the undulations there. Maybe you could use that as an excuse. And who am I to argue with Charlie Appleby if he's sending one over to step her up in trip to the 10 furlongs for the first time? You do have to sit up and listen. But then you also have to go on what you've seen in a race. And I personally don't think she finished off as strongly as you would like to see her finish off for a horse that they're stepping up in trip. She spun around those 2 Maidan races listed Group 3 level at ridiculously short odds, literally 1-20 without the jockey stirrups at one stage. I mean, it was a joke of a race. It doesn't even count. It literally doesn't even count. So for me, she is a random one to be throwing in there for the Godolphin team. So that's her. So then you move on to the French filly, Fun with Flags for Jérôme Renier. This horse hasn't been seen since April. Again, turned over at pretty short odds that day. In a race where, again, you watch that Saint-Cloud Group 3, it was back. Like, she came there to win a race and she gets done by a horse who was very much in a similar position to her. She's since sold for an awful lot of money, and this race was flagged up very early as a race that they were going to come at with her. She's obviously stayed with Jérôme Renier with new connections now. She's got Group 1 entries over here, I should say. But I don't know. I've looked back at her form, and again, I'm just thinking we've only ever seen her on heavy or very heavy French ground. We know she will get the trip, that's for sure. But will the real test of Belmont and the actual going suit her? I don't know. I'm very sketchy on her as well. So then you roll on, Pete. Were you going to jump in there and argue my point? Are you arguing?
I'll not argue. I was just going to chime in. The only thing I would say that gives me a little more positivity than you do about Fun with Flags is the fact that I do believe the plan from this US-based powerhouse ownership group is to keep her with Chad Brown after this race. And we know the Bloodstock team is sharp, and they've had a good eye over the years for ones that are going to adapt well to USA conditions. So if the name was Brown instead of Renier in the PPs, this horse would probably be half the price that she's going to be. So I'd consider keeping her on side for USA Exotics, but I do agree, not the most likely winner.
And my notes on her finish with the most interesting thing about her is that she's in the race, if you see what I mean. Like, as in on all known form that me and you and the public can see, it's not an obvious move. It's not an obvious shift, but people sharper, cleverer, and more rich than me have decided that it is an obvious shift.
More rich than you, Vanessa? Impossible.
Hey, come on now. You don't pay me enough. But so that was literally my last note on her for this race. Is the most interesting thing about her is that she's in this race. Then we roll on to Secret Satire, who is a bit of a conundrum, not gonna lie. Over here for Andrew Balding, again, not somebody who you regularly see with runners over in America. He's having a good time of it over here at the moment. Frankie Dettori getting on board. JK will give us the lowdown on that, I am sure. So that is interesting, the Frankie Dettori booking. But in terms of her profile, she won the Musadora at very short odds. She then went to Epsom for the Oaks. She stepped up in trip. She pulled way too hard. Literally, you couldn't give her away in the market that day. Nobody fancied her. Everyone seemed to think she'd pull too hard, which she did, and she wouldn't handle the trap, which she didn't. So put a line through that. She's going to drop back in trip. That's going to help her. I do think of all the European horses, she's the most likely horse to appreciate the track and the going. I think going, I mean, I presume there's going to be a decent pace on in this race, in which case that's going to help her drop the bridle. She's also got the benefit of Frankie Dettori in the saddle, which is going to be really big. And then she's for an owner breeder. So, you know, I'd say they know full well they're not going to pick up Group 1 form over here in Europe, and they're chancing their arm to boost her pedigree page over in America instead. The key to her is going to be the gallop so that she can drop the bridle. That's going to be the key, and a bit of cover from Frankie and a bit of Frankie magic. If you ask me to pick one of the 3 European runners, it would probably be Secret Satar.
I hear you. We've seen York in the past be a key pointer for horses that are going to succeed here, a combination of just the class of racing that happens there, but also the left-handed bend and the way the straight plays out. I could absolutely see that one as another one being involved in the finish. And at these morning line prices, one I would certainly want on sides and as an exacta partner with the likely favorite. She Feels Pretty. JK, we're going to bring you in. It seems like I've convinced Vanessa to side with She Feels Pretty. I feel pretty strongly about this one. Can we make it a chorus, my friend?
I think it's been a long time coming for the U.S. to kind of catch up to a certain extent when it pertains to turf racing versus the Europeans. And I think She Feels Pretty, a Caraconti with a mare that's had some production from turf runners. I think a sane person can argue that she was best in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf.
We might have lost him. We can fix it in editing, and we're recording him locally, so it should be okay. He was so smooth for the beginning of it. Are you back, JK?
And then she came back and ran extremely well. What more do you want? I think she might be the best.
Always fun with the frozen video on the live streams, but we do have the local recording. I think we got the gist of what JK was saying there. I think the key question with She Feels Pretty, and JK, I'll throw this back to you because it seems like you're unfrozen now. The distance, is it possible this is too far for her, or is this a case where we trust that as good as she's looked in her races, as well as she's shaped, as great of a job as Cherie DeVaux has done the last couple of years with these turf horses, do we just trust that she's going to be able to get this trip? That's my one remaining question, and the reason I wouldn't want to take too short of a number on her.
I am one of those people that I don't guess that a horse can't do something. They have to show me they can't do it. So ask me Saturday afternoon or evening, and then we can make decisions based on that. But talent is the thing that means the most to me. If a horse is talented, they got to prove me wrong everywhere else.
Great stuff for Vanessa, for JK. This is our video for the Grade 1 Belmont Oaks. Make sure you subscribe to our In the Money Media YouTube channel to get all the content we've got coming down the pike. Okay, that's like the official bit. Now we can spitball for another minute. Vanessa, what's your opinion about the distance question for She Feels Pretty? Are you concerned about that at all? Am I nuts thinking 2-1 might be a pretty good price on this filly?
Well, no, you're convincing me here, Peter. You're convincing me here. As you've heard from me, I'm more worried about the distance for. No.
Hold on, look what I found.
I don't care about She Feels Pretty because She Feels Pretty. Look at that woman.
Beautiful stuff. It's a lot better than the weather we have here, Vanessa. I'll put it that way. You might get hit for me or something like that in England today.
She back. Oh God, it makes me sad not to be there. Anyway, I've lost my trail of thought, but basically I'd be less worried about. I'm more worried about like Cinderella's Dream over the trip and maybe even Fun with Flags as well on the ground than I am about She Feels Pretty. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So
all right. We'll let you know what? Actually, I'm going to let you do me a favor while I run and get another beer. You two are just going to talk about whatever the heck you want to talk about, and I'm going to remove myself for 90 seconds.
Hold on.
Okay.
We're gonna go dogs here. Honey, will you get Rigatoni?
Oh my God!
Well,
Let
you know,
Rigatoni meet
it's
Rufus.
Rigatoni and Rufus have never met. Sorry if you guys are watching this live stream and you have to deal with this, but it's just two dogs.
They love it. They love the insight. Is it Nancy's birthday today?
Yesterday was.
Look at this.
Hey, look, there's Rufus, bud.
There's Rigatoni. Oh, yeah. Oh, Rigatoni is on the beach. Is he having a nice time?
On the beach.
Is he over hot, or is he having a nice time?
He looks a little warm with his mouth's open. He looks a little hot. Can you hear him? You hear him making noise?
Not really, but he looks bloody good. He looks good. How long are you there for? And are you having a lovely time?
It was Nancy's birthday yesterday, so Mama Salivo, and then we're here. I work at Aqueduct tomorrow, so I'm on air at 3:00. So we're leaving here somewhere around then, or in time to get there by then. I like moving Pete's video. It's my favorite thing to do.
All right. Listen, guys, appreciate that input very much. I'm going to put you both in the penalty box for a minute because I just have about 5 more minutes with Matt Miller before he has to get about his 4th of July activities. I would like to point out to you, though, Vanessa, before we let you go, that historically the record remains USA 2, UK 0, and that's the way that form is going to stay. Now, we've been idle for a number of years. It's been since 1812 that we've had a chance to test this form, but I would feel wrong if I didn't point it out.
Thank you. That was very kind of you. I really appreciate you, Pete. Well done.
Well, you're nice. You know, it's your election day today.
And Vanessa.
It's your election day today, and I appreciate very much that you didn't mention anything about our election. So you're clearly a class act, and we'll give you all the credit.
As an FYI, your election currently takes up more of our paper newsprint than our own election. Like, it's all I can read about. Poor Biden's about to drop off, isn't he?
I can't imagine being that relaxed on election day.
Yeah, exactly. Vanessa, I will say this though. Hey, in this country, we sell Crest white strips though.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you do, and I like them.
I will mention just from a purely betting point of view, because it's fascinating in a market with millions and millions of dollars being bet. You've never seen in an election scenario somebody go from 3-2/6-4 to 7-1 any quicker. And anyway, we'll just leave it there. Vanessa, appreciate you immensely. Any shot you'll be at.
Hold on, before Vanessa leaves, she has to see the rest of the Slevos. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, definitely.
There's Ron and Nance. All right. And there's Jillian and Ron. Yeah. We had to see everybody.
That's amazing. Any chance I'll see you at the City of Troy show, Vanessa, or that's a little far from you? Sadly not. I'm at a wedding. It's a legitimate excuse. You got to tell these people not to get married on the big racing Saturdays, though. We signed a contract many years ago. Vanessa, appreciate you. We will talk to you soon. Goodbye. Matt, you're back. I know you've got places to go, people to see, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit more because I know you had a book relevant example that you wanted to share. Was that from the Hawthorne contest? Was it the one you talked about in the BCBC Diary video, or was it something related to today?
So this just happened. It just happened today, and this wasn't going to be a big betting day. I've got family coming over shortly, and thought, okay, I'm going to pick one spot. It would have been so perfect to have you sitting there, because it felt like 6 or 7 topics that we talk about so much in this book all came up at the exact same time. And just the execution was good. Obviously, you can tell I'm psyched. And so the horses on the track cooperated. I don't know that I would have, in all honesty, been that eager to come tell you my terrific way of losing had I done that earlier.
Hey, if it illustrates a point, you're not above it.
Absolutely. And So, okay. I mean, so it's funny. I'm sitting here looking at these bets. Belmont at Aqueduct was the choice, and there was early in the card, I think it was race 3, a pretty dominant favorite in the 1 horse. I want to say Moofy or something like that. Okay, I set a quick goal and said I'd like to take $1,500 and I'd like to turn that into $2,500, and I'd like to do that somewhat quickly. Well, it's interesting. This race gave me 2 completely separate and distinct setups, and I decided to bet them both independently. So I decided to fire 750 at one setup and 750 at another. The doubles looked terrific. The horse was 4 to 5 on the board. There were 2 horses getting pounded away in the doubles, and yet they were still overlays. I did a teeny bit of math. The double, I want to say, paid a full $1 more than it should have according to the win pool odds. That was an overlay of about 15 to 18% in my, not in my opinion, in actuality. So I played these 2 doubles, $375 a piece, trying to catch basically favorite and one of 2 co-favorites. That paid $375 times 2, $750, paid $2,400. The other way I wanted to play the race was intra-race. It also looked like there was really one dominant threat to the main horse that I liked. And so I played a big $500 exacta. The only other horse in the race that I thought might be a threat, I decided to play a $250 trifecta, sliding my second horse to the 3rd spot and putting that threat in for 2nd. So that's technically, I think, the only bet I lost on the day, because that $500 exacta payout was $2,650. So a profit of $2,100 on a $500 bet, and next thing you know, it's a profit on the day. So it turns on the day into $5,050, the 1,500 did. And of course, as you know me, I am now jumping up and down with excitement because I have $50 to play with. I like to call these scraps. And I've been screwing around with the scraps ever since, doing my best to turn $50 into $250. I think I'm going to fail. It's a totally separate endeavor, but it is a good way to clean up your account and just kind of have good account management practices and cash management practices. Needless to say, after that daily double was done, that's it, right? I have opinions later. I'm sure I'd like to bet some of these races later. Not doing it. Hit your profit, go have fun with your family, and come back another time.
What do you have cooking with those scraps you described? Do you have any bet here in this penultimate race at Belmont at the Big A today?
At the moment, I don't. I'm embarrassed to tell you. It's at. I mean, I get a little desperate when it comes to these scraps and what to do. Right now, I'm on Canterbury.
No shame in that. We like those.
I have $82 up. I'm up. My 50's up to $82, and I have it riding on the 5 horse. So we'll see. It doesn't really matter.
That is very funny. We are about to get into the gate here for this next race at Belmont. We do have stakes action on this 4th of July, Independence Day. Number 3, Emery, being the big favorite at 3 to 5. I wish I could give you something clever. I guess with as hot as Pratt is, should we just play Mystic Lake to maybe try to wire him here as an alternative to the favorite? Yeah, let's do that just for a little bit of action as we get ready to send it to the call for this very rare Thursday graded stakes action at Belmont Park.
Good speed from Helena's Forte right towards the outside, and there's Mystic Lake to the inside in the orange cap. There, 1-2. Just off of them is going to be Emery, is now tracking from 3rd, patiently ridden, and the trailer is Autumn Evening. They work up the backstretch, and Mystic Lake has got the lead. It's mild pressure from Helena's Forte, is now within a neck of the lead. Traveling nicely there, just stalking the pace setter Mystic Lake. They're still 1-2. Now being encouraged a little bit to move forward. There is Emery from 3rd, is moving towards the outside here with less than 4 furlongs to travel. And Autumn Evening is trying to make up ground from the back. That
quick opening quarter, and then the one having
They're
rush
well
off
into the turn now, and Mystic Lake is still the leader. It's Mystic Lake in front. Helena's Forte is ready to challenge towards the outside.
He's cruising, double handful.
Here as they approach a quarter mile left to go. 44.38 for the half mile time, and Emery has got those pace setters in sight, is now rolling down the center of the racetrack, but Mystic Lake is trying to shrug off rivals.
Gosh, look at this for Mystic Lake.
Now straightening up, but strongly here is up by 2.5, 3. Emery is within range as
huge race
from the final 16th down to these two in the victory ride. It's Mystic Lake to the inside. Emery is trying to push on.
Hang in.
Emery to the outside of Mystic Lake. Emery will push by and wins the victory ride. It's Emery who wins it over Mystic Lake. That came
hard to lose with that trip last boy, if Mystic Lake hadn't bobbled there at the beginning, might have been a different story, but ran out of gas, or should I say, given where I am in the world, petrol a little bit late. Favorite gets the job done, but definitely some anxious moments there for favorite backers in the Grade 3 victory ride.
That is not what I'd want to see out of a 3 to 5 shot.
No, it was a little bit. It got a little bit desperate there for a second, but job done in the end. I bet you weren't regretting that you didn't have your tournament life on that one though. At least halfway through the race.
It's funny, if we had a little more time in the setup before the race, we could have talked about it. That actually looked like a really good race for this kind of better. I'm taking a peek right now at the probables in the double pool, and despite the horse being 3 to 5, there are 3 horses with whom the horse is paying 9 to 1, 10 to 1, and 12 to 1. So if you have any kind of opinion in the next race, you easily could have just used a simple 3 to 5 shot. I promise, whatever horse you like in the next race, if it's one of those, you're not getting 9, 10, or 12 to 1.
Right.
You're going to get a lot less than that. I'd be willing to I'd bet $1 right now that this double is going to pay an overlay, given that the horse dropped to 3 to 5. We'll see.
It makes sense. I mean, it's a chaotic last race. These 3-year-old, three and up New York bred filly maiden claiming 40s, but you know what? As we've discussed on the show many times, sometimes you can have opinions on those races, and if you do, that's not a bad way at all to try to take advantage. Matt, I know you have holiday plans. We're going to let you get to them, but very much appreciate you coming on here to talk a little Hawthorne contest and to get us sorted out with some of your thoughts and opinions for the day. Folks interested in more of your insights, abetterwayofthinking.com. That's the book. You've got the audio that's going to be on sale soon, the ebook already on sale, and very soon we need to come up with like a fun virtual book signing or something. It's so funny when 4 weeks ago I told you if we needed to fill time, we were going to start doing some outtakes from the book. We haven't even got there yet, and we're a month in, but it will happen over the summer.
As long as people aren't sick of me, I'm happy to do this. This is a great time.
Appreciate you and your flexibility, my friend. We'll be talking soon.
All right. Happy 4th, everybody.
Cheers. All right. Let's see if Mr. Bucket Hat, well, it wasn't really a bucket hat. It was more of a sombrero. What was it he had on down there? I'm the hat guy. I'm supposed to know this stuff. But let's bring JK back in if he's here and see what he's up to. If not, I could vamp a little bit, and Mike, we could do. No, there he is.
He's here.
You're there.
You guys almost
Why don't we talk?
Bathroom break to the ocean. You almost missed me in a bathroom.
Wait, are you telling me you just went and peed in the ocean?
You're like, I didn't do it yet, but I was about to go do it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that from a social standpoint. It's the ocean. It's a very big body of water.
Think twice, folks, before you go swimming at Montauk. That's all I'm saying. Let's talk about the Belmont Derby real quick, and then you can take your bathroom break. Let's do not for another video because it's so. I mean, we could do it, and I could tack it on. No, let's just do it for the people who are here watching live. Belmont Derby. I mean, this is Endlessly's race to lose, isn't it? I mean, this is a horse we've been talking about for a long time as the best turf horse 3-year-old in America. Everybody heard Michael McCarthy on your interview with him on the Monster Pod in the Money Media. There was never a more clearly picked owner spot in the history of horse racing than Endlessly in the Derby. Obviously Michael got on board, but this is what this horse wants to be doing. And the rest of these just aren't that fast. He's going to win imperiously, isn't he?
Yeah, look, I think the point you're trying to make is that Mr. Ammerman, right? Like, I think that, like, even Michael said it when he was talking about the idea. It was an owner pick the spot thing. He said he's a man in this game for a long time. He supported the game for a long time, and he had a horse that was eligible for the Kentucky Derby, and he was going to run in the damn Kentucky Derby. God bless him. I don't have a problem with that. But I think it's all clear that Endlessly is a better turf horse. But he's shown how good he is. He's a talented darn horse. And I think he's going to be fine in this race. There's just something in here that really gets me going. I mean, yeah, sure. I will say this about Legend of Time is that in that race at Churchill, I thought he was kind of naughty. He was a little bit washed out. He was a little bit on the muscle. And then in the race at Belmont, he was kind as he could be. I don't know if it was a rider change. It was something that Charlie Appleby decided to try to change up. I thought he ran well. So, I mean, he's the obvious horse to win in that spot. But I'm going to go home team. I made this point on the Fox show, and it was a point. It set me up for a good analogy on those shows. I like to try to do, make it real to everyone else. And I compared U.S. turf racing and to like soccer, right? We're getting better in the U.S. We're not quite there. There's a couple of special players like Christian Pulisic who could play, over there or whatever. But we're not, these Europeans still have it as a whole. But in this race, I don't see an edge. I think we have the edge in here. Legend of Time is nice, and he's a very likely type, but I prefer Endlessly.
To be fair to the Ammerman decision to run Endlessly in the Derby rather than the American turf, Ammerman's won the American turf anyway with that giant run from Tricari at a huge price. He's not out of it here, but I can't shake the idea that this was, the American turf was the time you wanted to have him. And I can't see him besting his stablemate or even Legend of Time really in here. But if I was going to nominate a third of the five, he would be the one. Am I disrespecting Tricari at all, JK?
I don't think you're disrespecting him. I just think it's like, look, this is not a fan show. This is a horse player show, right? That's why it's called HorsePlayer Happy Hour, not I love horses happy hour. And I think that, like, Tricari's a really cool horse. And what he did that day was all outstanding. I was actually we were hanging out with the Motions. We were with the Motions. That the only time Derby weekend I went to the paddock, it was with the Motions. Like Jane, Graham's daughter, had given Jovanina and I paddock passes. So we were in, which I felt like a complete idiot that I didn't bet the horse because we're with them. Yeah. Like, we're in the winter. We're in the photo. We're in the photo of this horse who pays whatever.
Who knocked you out of everything.
It knocked me out of everything. Yeah, there's nothing worse than being with people celebrating that banged you in the pick six on Derby Day, and you're like, oh, yeah, oh, congratulations, oh, congratulations. Oh, you're looking at tickets in your pocket. Honestly, like, oh shit. Oh,
did I miss punch maybe and have a 7 somewhere? Yeah, no.
Last time is the time for that one. It's what it feels like to me. That race kind of fell apart, I think, to a certain extent.
Definitely.
And that's fine, but I just think, last time was the time.
Yeah, Legend of Time running off was one of the reasons. And yeah, then Tricari came back, has come back and run since. You got that top 3 from the Pennine Ridge in there. They should all be running for second. I mean, anything like a rep. But what's funny about Endlessly is, like, everything we're saying, I believe, but if you were just looking at figures, he's not a standout or anything. But what I'm hoping that means is we can just actually get, 3-2 on a horse that should be 4-5. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I still think we're playing a little bit on what we think Endlessly is. We know he's talented, right? But, like, man, I thought Legend of Time ran well last time. This is one of those situations where, like, I need to see what the board does. If the board, like, does, like, this stupid over the top Endlessly thing, I'll bet Legend of Time. But conversely, if the board does this stupid Legend of Time thing, I'll bet Endlessly. Like,
Yeah.
In multi-race wagers, I don't think I would lean too heavily on one. I would need both of them. Lock the race up and move on, type of deal.
I hear that. Morning line wise, Endlessly 6-5, Legend of Time 5-2. At those prices, I would still back Endlessly. How about you?
You know me, JK tries, math fails. You know, but I don't play like that anyway. So I'm speaking hypothetically, anyways. I'm a multi-race player. The sequence, I would love for the sequence to allow me to just use those two to tie it up and get cued elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll have any problem locking it up with those two. It just felt to me like the kind of situation you talk about a lot, where in a race everybody's using two. If you can just use Endlessly and get odds against, like, that's kind of what I was looking for. I respect Legend of Time, but I think Endlessly is excellent. And yes, we can still see you, JK. I think our signal is getting dodgier for you than it is for me. But I'll tell you what, we're in great shape here. I've just got about 20 minutes till the end of the show. I'm happy to interact with the listeners. Let's let you go. We'll bring you back end of the week. We appreciate this pre-Saratoga show with Frankie Dettori. That's going to be something special. Very excited about that, and excited to have you as a big part of obviously everything we're doing come this Summer Meet Saratoga Del Mar / HorsePlayer Happy Hour coverage.
Yeah, love you guys. We'll see you soon. It's right on the corner, isn't it? It feels weird because we were there and now we're going back, but it's going to be an exciting couple of 8 weeks starting up here in a week. And yeah, I'd love to be around as much as I can for HorsePlayer Happy Hour, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
Let us know. You tell Serling he's got to let you be free 4 to 6 on Thursdays. Let's see how that goes.
Shout out. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Andy, I texted Andy today. I texted back, so that's mean. But you know, we'll figure it out.
And if you want that full schedule, by the way, of the America's Day at the Races coverage for the Saratoga meet, go to inthemoneypodcast.com/TV and you'll get that in full. All right, people, I need help now. We've got to fill until the next race at Saratoga. Though I do have a concept. We've got 16 minutes, but I do have a concept producer Mike is going to help me execute. So it turns out, we were joking about this last week on the show, about the Stars and Stripes. I think I even referred to this weekend as the Stars and Stripes Racing Festival. And I could see from the look on JK's face that particular branding had been retired. That doesn't exist anymore. And that got me thinking about other retired branding and horse racing, marketing attempts that are no longer in effect. And Mike, I don't know if you know how to share this or not, but give it a go here. The number one retired marketing effort, and it made me think we should do a T-shirt with the visage of this figure, along with the words "Never Forget." And I'm referring, of course, to the third Saturday in May, the Preakness Stakes, and Pegasus, who to me was an absolutely hilarious marketing gimmick that people decided to take way too seriously, that I really thought was worth mentioning and remembering on this show. This was sort of like the centaur protector of the infield. What do you think, Mike? Do you have any idea of how to get? I can work too and try to find an image to promote to the screen here. If oh no, I think you got it. Looks like Pegasus is in the. Yeah, if you can make him a little bigger and promote him to the big screen. But it gave me an opportunity, pour one out for the Stars and Stripes Racing Festival, but never forget Pegasus and his marketing efforts. Feel free to throw him up there, even if it's a funny small picture. I feel like we need to see him at this point. There he is. I think. Oh no, this was not the ad marking his demise. This was still, it was an ongoing thing, and it ended up being there was some opposition to him from people promoting responsible drinking or some such nonsense. Not that is not an important thing, but when it comes to the Preakness infield, like, you got to know what you're selling, and selling Pegasus, half man, half centaur. Like, to me, I thought it was brilliant marketing. I was a little bit upset. Oh, there we go. There he is. What a beautiful view. One day on this show, we will have an interview with the actor / model who played Pegasus. How about that for an idea? Anyway, I feel like they the Preakness now, it's very different. It's a different kind of party, but never get too bougie to forget your roots, Preakness. And Pegasus is emblematic of those. And then the other one, we're going to go back even farther now. We're going to take a proper trip into the Wayback Machine to watch an advertisement from when I was probably a racing fan for 2 or 3 years, when the other place with the letters was involved in a TV marketing campaign. And the actress Lori Petty, who more recent viewers might remember from her turns on, she was on Orange is the New Black. She was in another show recently with a very memorable arc. But I probably first became aware of her in A League of Their Own. She's in A League of Their Own, and she was in a bunch of films, but she somehow ended up probably fired the agent after, but getting involved in a horse racing marketing campaign. And though, it's one of these, if you remember, you remember. And if you don't, you're going to watch it right now. Yeah, go back to the beginning, Mike, and turn on the sound, and let's hear the Go Baby Go, the infamous Go Baby Go ad from, I'm guessing, the late 90s.
Go, baby, go! Go, baby, go, baby, go! Go, baby! Go! Woo! Ooh, go, baby, go! Inhibitions, leave them in the car. Go, baby, go.
I mean, it's 25 years later. I think it's a fun ad. Anyway, you let me know what you think. It was very divisive at the time, but like a lot of neo marketing efforts, the hardcores, piss all over it. But, I have to think, to somebody from the outside looking in, that it was an entertaining thing. You get the Lori Petty's piercing blue eyes and saying, "Go, baby, go." I mean, what's wrong with that? Tank Girl. Yeah, that was one of the projects that she was involved in, that Rob Capalbo in the comments mentions. All right, let's get to some of the other comments here. Let's see what Jim has to say. Oh, wait, that's responding to somebody else. Let's get back to Chris's. Okay, yeah. So Chris was asking who Jim was alive to, suspecting 1, 3, and 8. But Jim confirmed that it is 3, 5, and 8 here in this Matt Miller double idea. Jamie mentions about City of Troy running in that Eclipse, probably at a minuscule price on Saturday. I may go down. I want to clap eyes on the Beast, especially because it surely sounds like he's coming over. Doesn't sound like they're sticking to the Travers plan that they originally mentioned, but it does sound like he'll be at the Breeders' Cup. I want to see him. I'll try to be there at Sandown. Here's the tricky thing about that. Susan, I thought we had evening theater tickets. We have day theater tickets. I forget the show, but it sounded really cool, and it's at the National. And I told Susan to try to find someone else to go who wants to go. But if she can't find that, I'm going to go, because I'm not going to waste the theater ticket to watch a horse win at 1-20. But if she can find somebody who's into it, I will head out to the Sandown. I'm assuming this is Rob's response to the Lori Petty video. Holy hell, LOL, that sounds about right. And then Chris chiming in, last at Aqueduct, lots of possible outcomes. The 3 is an overlay, only 4-year-old. I do like that. Running on a tag on turf for the first time. I love that too. New low-level angles are great, especially when you filter them for surface, etc. So yeah, I mean, those are a couple of very nice, very, very nice looking numbers on those horses. Jim continues the conversation. Yeah, over 16 maiden, but right, only 5 on the surface. Many good efforts, and not in for a tag. So there you go. Oh, that's funny. We hear from David Piers, whose name I will say correctly for once. Top of the leaderboard, a bunch of 5s. Mike, we haven't even checked the leaderboard. I've been, remiss in my hosting duties, but you are Johnny on the spot there. Michael Domable in the money, regular. Yeah, that's interesting. The top 4 people with 5s. Michael, right now in first place. He's won a seat before through HorsePlayer Happy Hour. Malcolm Esquerre is in second. Another big friend of the show, Togo Travaglia, always texts me when my horses are in, especially Looms Boltley, who's back in on Saturday. Actually, I haven't handicapped the race yet, but always exciting to see him. I'm hoping that I will be somewhere where I can watch that. I may be watching a play, which would be a bit of a bummer. I don't think I can be cheeky enough to go to the washroom and watch my horse race. I think I'll just look afterwards if that's the case. Jason Batts in fourth with 54. James Millar, speaking of the In the Money media faithful, big helper behind the scenes. He's the first one with the 6. David Pierce in 6th with the 7. I imagine he'll be drawing live for the whole thing, or at least to get in the exacta with that one. Sean Pilar, Lance Goodman, Jorge Palsa, Michael Domable again looking to get double points in the Tour. So he's got the 5 and the 8. We'll go back and we'll see what price the 8 is. Zachary Agamenoni in there. Thomas Neighbor, Michael Saletta, who's been very successful on the Tour so far this year. And then the last spot, I think, for advancing to the Saturday qualifier right now, Wes Herrick in 14th place. Let's look at that overall Tour leaderboard, if you don't mind, producer Mike. Curious to see who's doing well there, and if anybody is going to be adding to their total. It does feel like every week we're hearing a lot of the same names, which is great to see such great participation week in, week out. We had 148 this week, a little down, but it's hard. The holiday, I think a lot of people didn't realize we were doing a game. I think we're going to pick it up again at Saratoga, especially because we're going to be advertising HorsePlayer Happy Hour on the NYRA shows, which will be cool. But yeah, Mike, if you get a chance, there's Mike Saletta in a tie right now with Anthony Spinazzola with 100. Oh, no, it's not a tie. It's 180 and then 160. John Massian. There's Michael Domable already with 120, looking to potentially get to the top spot on that leaderboard. Sean O'Malley in the money regular, Justin Christine, Chris Couples, who does such a great job helping us out in the comments, in a tie with Wayne Tam, Christopher Andrews, Mark Wilgard, Andrew Uretsky, Jackson Muniz. Great to see him up there. We're going to be talking to him for next week's BCBC Diary show. I think he's going to be swinging in the Belmont contest this weekend, Belmont and Aqueduct contest on Saturday that has a BCBC seat. Don Brockman, Derek Cuno, Jason Phillips, Don Marquardt, and then we'll read the people in a tie for 10th, and then we'll leave it there. Devin Oman, Julie LeBoyko, Jeff Van Dree, and William McMillan. Thanks to everybody for participating, competing week in, week out in these HorsePlayers Happy Hour events. If you're new around here, 3 different ways that you can qualify for a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seat. One is what you would call the traditional way. If you finish in the top 10% in this contest, you feed into Saturday's qualifier, you have an opportunity to win your $10,000 BCBC seat directly. But then this interconnected series of contests we have has 2 elements. The overall winner, and we take, I think it's the best 8 scores. We're on week, 4 of 15. So still plenty of time to get 8 good scores and win this whole thing. You get one for that. And then also we have, if you finish in the top 2 any one week, or if you're among the top Tour finishers, we fill that number out to 80, and we start an 80-person postseason tournament with cut lines every week, which is a fun twist on the thing. It's not just 80 people, somebody else does a miracle day. It's 80 people, finish in the top half, 40 advance, same deal, 40 goes down to 20, 20 goes down to 10, and then the winner at the final table gets another BCBC seat. And the best thing is that those 20,000 that you get through the Tour, that's all added to the pot at no cost to players. Plus, the house cut for the $20 you pay every week goes to Equine Aftercare in the form of the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, who do the critical work of accrediting all these aftercare organizations, as well as our friends over at Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. That's where Kim Weir works now, doing fantastic work helping humans and helping horses. All right, let's hear what people have. We've got 4 minutes to post for this last race at Belmont at Aqueduct. Let's pick a winner and go out of here with a little bit of cash in our pockets, whether it's through the context of the tournament or on our own. Who does anybody in the comments, any of our regulars, who do you want to promote as a potential winner here? We were talking a little bit about the 8 runner before. That's a horse called Devil's Arrow. Second-time starter, began the career on dirt and ran meh. But I'll say this, was bet a little bit and showed a whiff of speed. Jonathan Thomas is the trainer. The pedigree does not scream turf to me, but interestingly, rated pretty well for turf on the Timeform US breeding algorithms. The reality is these are connections who are dropping and don't, they're dropping because the horse, because she's not going to be great. So, like, if they're not going to be great, they're not interested in just knocking around. They're just looking to move on. Based on the speed she showed on dirt in the debut, should be forwardly placed. I mean, that seems like an absolutely fair, if unexciting, price on that one. The number 1 catching a lot of money, this horse Bossy Jeans, coming off a 245-day layoff, first time in the maiden claimer. Another horse that showed some speed. Makes sense. 3 Diamonds Farm, another one who, they're not interested in just messing around. But I think that the connections, you're paying a tax here for Maker and Irad Ortiz. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to bet the 1 runner as low as 5-2. Not a horse that, I'm not going to argue with anybody who thinks this is the one, but that is not appealing to me. That doesn't feel like the horse you're supposed to be on. The 5 is another runner who is catching all manner of money. This horse is called Tongue Twister, has sprinted twice at the maiden special weight level, now dropping down, stretching out in distance. This is your likely early leader in this spot. And I get her based on that. Ray Handel, very, very good trainer, underrated, I would say. You don't pay the same kind of tax with him. 7-2. I like the idea of that a lot. We've got a little bit of a push for the 2 runner at double-digit odds. This is a horse called Sendera, trying the turf for the first time, but has been entered for the turf before and been reined off. So gun runner, but I'll tell you what, on the dam side, you see the stars in there. See the stars run 6 times only on dirt. Does seem like a horse that has plenty of upside with the surface switch. This one going out for Linda Rice. Yeah, I feel like I'd rather take a shot with some of these horses at double-digit odds in this spot. I definitely get the case on runners like the 5 and the 8, but let's take a look at, it just has that feel of a race you want to get a little bit cute. Michelle Giangulio, she does a great job, trains a lot of horses for 10 Strike. This horse, Dubawi Wowie, which is a hilarious name. I don't know how this horse isn't by Dubawi, but I guess Demarchelier is by Dubawi, so that must be where that cuteness comes from. Lots of question marks, but I mean, hey, first time in a maiden claimer for a trainer I know is good, who doesn't catch money. The idea of messing around with horses like the 2 and the 7, that's the most appealing thing to me in a spot like this. We're going to see how it plays out in a minute here, as we are now at post time. Rob Capalbo asks about beer. I am drinking the Colonel, staying in Bermondsey here in the UK. The Colonel, one of my favorite breweries anywhere in the world. They have this hop that I wasn't really aware of, an Aussie hop called Ella, and it's terrific. This really nice, bright pale ale. Before that, I had their sort of mixed hop table beer. It was also delicious. If you come to London, you got to come to the Colonel. And if you do, let me know. I'll introduce you to the crew because they're all friends at this point. Dubai Wowie did have traffic and galloped out well. Chris Couples with a positive trip note on that one as well. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-7 against the field. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can make some noise. Rob, I'll try to bring some Colonel. I have some fun like Colonel Saison and some darker beers that I've been cellaring in the Brooklyn bunker. I've got the hat on to prove it. Maybe I'll try to bring a bottle or 2 up to Saratoga and we can enjoy those, because I always appreciate when you and other folks bring us delicious New England beers when you make the trip west out to Saratoga, a trip that a lot of people are going to be making come next week. Still trying to figure out when I'm going to get up there. Definitely want to be there for opening day, which is what, Thursday? So I don't know. Maybe I'll come up Wednesday. Is that right? Somebody correct me on that. Is Saratoga opening day Thursday or Friday? That may affect my travel plans, because I could use a day or two to just sleep when I get back into the USA. David McGee chimes in 218 as his numbers in the spot, 2 with 1-8, more specifically keying that 12-1 shot in this spot. Sendera, who we talked about, to see the stars, baby. Let's see what happens. We're getting ready. We're all loaded in. It is Thursday, is opening day. So yeah, I'll try to come up Wednesday night and we'll have some fun with that. Let's get to the call of this nightcap at Belmont at the Big A, one of the last days they are running there.
So does the Splendid One, and Sendera's in that early mix. Those three towards that first turn together. They're going to be 5 across the course here. Looking for a spot is going to be Tongue Twister, is hung out there 4 wide. 5 wide there is Saving Memories, as they're tightly bunched into that turn. Bossy Jeans sees his command. It's Bossy Jeans who's up by a half length. Sendera is tracking right there in second. The Splendid One has worked over to the rail, is saving ground to the inside in third. To the outside is Tongue Twister, who's now a challenging third. From that 4 spot with Saving Memories back to 5th. In behind them, at the rail is Troubled Luck, who's in the 6th position, is followed by Malibu's Dynamite, splitting rivals. Then comes Devil's Arrow. The 2 at the back, Lucky and Gorgeous, and Do Bowie Wowie. They work up the back stretch, and they went 23-3 for the opening quarter mile. They're chasing Bossy Jeans. Bossy Jeans has the lead. Sendera right there to the outside is ready to pounce, and 3 wide. Here comes a run from Tongue Twisters in the mix. At the rail comes the Splendid One. Trevor McCarthy patiently ridden here from the 4 spot, less than a half mile to go. 48 seconds flat for the half mile time. Trying to run on is Malibu's Dynamite. Out wider there is Saving Memories. Progressing is Devil's Arrow, is way out in the center of the course. And here comes Do Bowie Wowie. Yellow Silks, Do Bowie Wowie from the back end of the field is passing rivals quickly as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Lucky and Gorgeous is the trailer. They're still chasing Bossy Jeans. Bossy Jeans trying to take them all the way. A host of pursuers. Here comes the run from Tongue Twister, is out in the center of the course. Saving Memories is trying to rally on. Do Bowie Wowie is stalling now just a touch as Bossy Jeans is opening up inside the final furlong. Here comes Lucky and Gorgeous from far out of it, but Bossy Jeans has too comfortable of a margin. It's going to be Bossy Jeans to win the finale. Bossy Jeans wins it over Lucky and Gorgeous, who rallied from way out of it to get second. Then came Do Bowie Wowie and Sendera in 1 minute 42 seconds flat.
Bossy Jeans kicks sand in my face. I say, well, this is probably a horse you're supposed to be against. But geez, if you told me she was going to get that trip, I may have relented on that. But I'll tell you what, she won by so many. The ease of the trip didn't really matter. Just much the best in that spot. And the market got it spot on. We'll see in a minute here. We'll hang on and we'll do the leaderboard one more time once we go official. Yes, we do have that officially Thursday, July 11th, Saratoga opening day. I will be in the house. If you will, we should try to meet up. Lucky and Gorgeous there gets second at 9-1. Do Bowie Wowie, who made that eye-catching move, but probably too early, definitely too wide, flattened out late. Sendera 12-1 in 4th. So yeah, the wise guy horses run 3rd and 4th. Not a lot you can do about that. Maybe somebody was sharp enough to have them as in some sort of USA style exotics and get the job done. Meanwhile, it's Arad Ortiz Jr. and Mike Maker who get the money. Bossy Jean's going to pay $7 and change as we close things out at the Big A. Just running the 9 races today, keeping things pretty mellow, getting ready for the big excitement. Not just this weekend. Chris Couples makes a point about Do Bowie Wowie, the Marshall Yeh runner, who had a little bit of a trip as well. Yeah, that horse was okay. You would think we'll win at that level next time. Yeah, Bossy Jeans, no doubt about it. Winner there at Belmont at the Big A. Don't see any winners in our comments, but hey, if we go back to the standings, somebody will have won. We'll see what happens. Big questions here with HorsePlayers Happy Hour. The top 2, obviously, every week is huge. And it doesn't mean anything until they become official, but we can hunt around and see. Funny enough, all the top players, yeah, the 1 was nowhere to be found. I guess, of course, it was going to be an obvious favorite, so wouldn't play wouldn't pay too much attention. Wes Herrick, the first one to have that runner, will move up 7 points, and we'll get up into tour point position. Those points mean something. Basically, HorsePlayers Happy Hour means a lot to be in the top 2, because then you'll automatically qualify for the postseason tournament. Top 10 finishers get points. We showed those points before. It's 100, 90, 80, etc., etc. Top 10 finishers get tour points. And then, maybe most critical of all, top 14 with the ability to move on to the Saturday qualifier. So you win for, you put in your 20 here, house cut going to charity, and then you have an opportunity to advance to the Saturday contest. Top finishers there directly win the $10,000 BCBC seat. No need to wait until the end of the line. All right, we are official. So as soon as that leaderboard updates, producer Mike, go ahead and slug that back in there, and we will we'll give off this leaderboard. And then I'm not going to lie, it's getting close to bedtime for me here. Michael Domable holds on to the top spot. That's huge. 100 points for the tour. He was already looking really good in there. He'll be extremely pleased with that result. Punches his tickets to the playoffs through the exacta as well. Malcolm Esquere, very similar. Also, 90 points for him and punching the ticket. James Millar, he's been everywhere this year. I'm surprised he's actually not higher on the tour leaderboard, but another great opportunity for him. Jorge Palsau, Wes Herrick actually moved all the way up into 5th. That's very nice. Togo Travaglia, Jason Batts, David Pierce, Sean Pillar, and Lance Goodman round out the top 10. And then 4 more players will get the opportunity to advance to the qualifier on Saturday. You can buy in that directly for $179. I should point that out more. If you're interested, just go to horseplayers.com. Michael Domable will have 2 entries in that contest. Christopher Andrews, who's been doing very well, will be in there. Zachary Agamenoni will be there, as will Sean McGuire. Great stuff. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July to all. Ducks go. We'll say we'll feature you there. Very good. Oh, Jim had a point about this. Yeah. Erad getting Pat Hart after Pratt's big day, running second pace, 55 in the exacta. That is amazing. Good point. Glad you pointed that out, Jim. Always happy to have you here in the comments. Tell other people about this HorsePlayer Happy Hour. We really appreciate trying to be like a little bit of a hub of a community. We're going to be here every Thursday from now until the Breeders' Cup. Thanks again to all of today's guests, the Salivo family, Rigatoni, Vanessa, Craig, JK, obviously. Great to have him in the mix. Matt Miller, producer Mike, ably sitting in and helping us out. Everybody in the comments, David, Chris, Rob, etc. It's been great being able to go back and forth with you. We'll do another one. Next week will be fun. Opening day, Saratoga. That'll probably be our last all New York card before we change tack a little bit. I want to eventually have it be a 2-hour live racing show, 4 from New York, 4 from Del Mar, which once Del Mar starts, we'll have an opportunity to do. Though Del Mar actually doesn't, I lied, because Del Mar doesn't start on Thursdays for a couple more weeks. So we may have 2 more all NYRA shows, which will be fun. Stay tuned for much more information. Do us a favor, subscribe to our In the Money Media YouTube channel. Do the same over at Breeders' Cup. They have so much great stuff. Follow along on social media from In the Money Media and the Breeders' Cup. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel. May you win all your photos.